Hello, this is Brian Witten and ET Art. You are looking at the moment at just a very plain orange rock. I will do an insert now and just show you that in actual fact it's very plain. Has no cracks on either side. It's smooth, orange sort of a rock, and you would think it is just a rock. Brian, that's fair enough. What I've done now is I set us up in the lounge room here. I've got the microscope and that orange rock under the microscope, and I have cheated to a degree, and then I've come to this point so that you're not waiting too long. What I'll do is I'll move the light around while I discuss with you you know, how far we've come along here in respect to our lesson. So I'll turn the light down on that first of all, on the microscope light, as I have told you before. We get these images from moving the light from the side. Okay, and quite often I'll turn these down a little bit. You'll note that I've got 3 black marks in a triangle there. That is very common. There are 3 black marks over on the right hand side there. So I'll turn the light off, and we'll just discuss very briefly whilst I'm going along here where we've actually, where we've gotten to. We've got to an understanding now of the pyramids being why they're there, and the reasons they are there is to tell us of a problem our planet has, and has had for, at this point, it looks to me to be in that sort of 7 million year range, where we've had a problem with the planet, and that one of our stars, or we used to have a binary star system, and one of those stars has been ejected through one reason or another. It seems to have taken up a rotation around Jupiter. We call it Nibiru or Nemesis, it gets called in some things. The situation is that with the other star gone, then we do not have the ability any longer to have what we call a Goldilocks zone. We are taught we have one, but we actually have very unnatural cycles put on the planet periodically. It's a sequence. It takes what appears to be about 96,000 years, and that sequence is repeated with the globe spinning in multiple directions. So the reason I'm doing what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get you some imagery off rocks, because the rocks that you're looking at, in my opinion, and I've covered this before, have scenery on them that you cannot see if you've got the microscope light on, whereas when you move around like I'm doing now, I can change the scenes to be whatever it is whatever they want me to see. So there'll be different scenes that you'll get moving the camera around like this, or I should say the light around. If I go back here, you'll see down in this part we can get some UFOs flying about there as well. Just in about that spot there we can get a couple. And some of it, that looks like it's sort of right over the top of the pyramids there, if you're in the middle and zoomed in a bit. It's hard sometimes to get really good imagery, but like I said, you wouldn't expect to get those sort of images even just there, in that middle portion there, right in the centre, is not what you would expect to see off a rock. And I'm only getting that because it's actually, told me which way to come in from the light, and which way to point your microscope. So, and that's a very common thing, this UFOs flying up valleys, and then depending on where you put your light, you can sometimes lift this up and it might turn into a city scene. There's something unusual at about that spot, like some planets and stars in the middle there. I can't quite get it to where I would have liked to have had it. But anyway, so that's basically where we are with things. I'm going to put a couple of rocks under here today, and maybe put a little bit more music in again like I did with the last one, and let you see that what appears to be natural may not be quite as natural as you would imagine. And then what I'm seeing here is a very, very high-tech method of leaving a message on these rocks. It is not, it's not a natural thing. It's you know, we've discussed this a few times. Some of the imagery that we've been getting has been absolutely brilliant, to the point you would think, well, that's just impossible for that to be, you know, a natural sort of situation. To have such imagery come up on rocks like that is not what you would call, you know, a natural phenomena, or phenomenon, I should say. So there we go. I just thought I'd show you that one. We'll move on a bit. I have a second rock under the microscope now. I'll just do an insert of another picture. It's probably, well, sitting alongside a lighter, as you can see, likely to be a little bit over an inch, or maybe 33 centimetres, I guess, 30 millimetres long. These sorts of rocks you get far more, obviously, than the orange one that I just showed you. There's a lot more features on the rock, and quite often it'll be a little rock like this with more features on it that you think, oh well, you're not going to get anything off it, and quite the opposite happens. So what I'll do, not that I could have persisted with that, the other one, the orange one, and found some other things, but sometimes it's easier to do it this way, you know, get one that's a little like this. I'm just going to see what we come up with, okay? And I'll talk as I go. So we are at now understanding where we were with planetary motion. We are looking at Earth itself now in about 15,000 years being put on a cycle that takes us out beyond Mars. In other words, another 48 million miles away, further out than Mars, or 186 million miles from the Sun. That is what our message is. We are also being told that the rotational speed of the planet Earth, left on plane with the Sun, even with the management of the oceans, we are left with a situation whereby the Earth rotates quickly, too quickly, to the point it goes 8 hours for a full rotation. 8 hours for a full rotation causes a situation where we have nowhere near enough time to have the situation where the atmosphere does not warm up enough anywhere and it brings on an ice age. Alternatively, we can rotate the globe in another direction, which is anti-clockwise or clockwise, in which case it slows down and gives us days that are 72 hours long. The same situation occurs in that you have the other side of the globe that is not in the Sun is in complete darkness for extended periods of time and extended areas. In that too brings on an ice age. And I would strongly suspect that the reason why we are pushed out to Mars, I'm not 100% certain. I think I'll make another video about that possibly. It could be something to do with the balance of the planet when it comes back into situations where it rotates quicker. This is why we're seeing these big massive land masses moved. I would believe that that's possibly the case. I'm going to just move around this rock a bit now, and then I'll just put some music in. just stopped here. I have a black mark at the top there. That generally tells me which way to shine the light from. Like a black hair. Might look like a hair, but in actual fact a lot of times it's actually telling you how they want you to shine the light to get the scene that they want you to get. Like the guy's face in here as well, in the middle here. Just here, I can get his face just about there. He's looking out this way. Just move around a bit more, see what else we can find. I've just got that same rock. There it is. It's that same little 1.5 inch rock, one with the stripes on it. I'll just insert it again to remind you. And I've come back to that. This portion of that rock, there's physical things in here. Sometimes you'll get the insertion of these, and you could say, yeah, well, they're pretty. You know, they could be just hairs. Yes, that is exactly correct. They could be. But time after time after time, they are what draws you to where you need to go. And not only that, do they tell you which way to shine a light. In this instance, you've actually got telling you multiple positions. You can shine the light in this way and get a scene over the top this way, or from the side that way. Because there's also a red mark up here as well. And I wanted to stop that there because you don't just get that. Sometimes you'll get on a rock, as unusual as it may seem, you can see this guy's face here. There's like half a face, or there's a nose looking this way, like the bridge of a nose, or the bottom of a nose that way with his mouth this way and his chin there. Or there's his nose coming this way, and his lips going that way and his chin going that way. So you can get exactly that. It's like there's little bits of a face that can also tell you, stop, have a look here and look in multiple directions. If that sounds a bit weird, it is weird, you know. It's an unusual thing. This is time and time again though, it's not something that's just coincidence. They seem to have the skills of being able to, just the way they implement that lighting is unbelievable. I just sit here and some days I just am amazed at what you see, you know. And you'll see that straight away. You'll be into something they want you to see. I don't know, I'll try and hold my hand here and pick this up at the same time, and hope you see this. But you get little black, like it's just come up there as a little black question mark. So it's saying, question what it is you're seeing, you know. Sometimes you'll find the very marks that drew your attention there, like the black loop or the red loop or the red lines. They will like be part of the scene itself. So you know without doubt it's not. See, there's almost another face coming out there. You get that quite often, eyes looking out here, you know. And it's, I'll just keep going here because I know I was moving the light around on this before and I was getting some really quite spectacular things. So I'm just going to go ahead and move the light, and you can listen to some music. You can see that's there. See the tidal wave coming in here now? Over on this side. Across the top, so it looks like the pyramids are there as well. You will get the pyramids there, and then I think just down here I almost get, you know, that's what that is there. That's a tidal wave coming in over the mountains over on this side. And that's why it highlights that. See how you get the little highlighter in where the wave is? They'll do that, and it won't be just the one there, it'll go bang, 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 and you'll get like 3 or 4 light up right across at the same time. And you know it's not coincidence because that's exactly what it's told you, stop. You know, and you get the question mark that's come up as well. I'll show you this when we move around this way a little bit further. Because I did say to you that this said there were 3 different, you know, visions that I should be able to get here, not just the tidal wave ones, but other, you know. Now this is the one here, you can see here where it says, that's where you just start to get the question mark just in this middle. And I know it's so difficult to see it, but it's a little tiny black question mark there. And I think if I vary the light a bit, you'll get it so that what we've got now is not just this, but tidal wave. We could also think we've got, I noticed that the other day that I seem to be picking up tornadoes and stuff like that as well, you know, and depending on where you go with the light. So tornadoes could be, you know, we're obviously the people that have left this message in the pyramids, and you know, it's a huge, huge message that's being left all over the globe. It's a message that, you know, we can't exist without them, it would appear. This is this is where I'm saying I'm doing this sort of light movement here where it says over the top, and then sometimes if you do that, you'll note that these square lines here, you might get a city or something like that light up, because you're looking down at the top, or it'll be, you know, city lights or something of that nature. It's very, very peculiar the way they do it, but you know, like I said, it is a message that they've left us to say, listen, you know, they've got to do what they've got to do, and our problem is the planet is not as you would have it, or maybe, you know, as you would think, in that it is not a situation whereby it is it's just another one now. It's just coming up and lighting up in the middle there very brightly. I think it's the same scene there. Pretty much the same as we just had before. See that tidal wave there? That looks even better there on the right side. Sweeping in across here. And that's almost got the a UFO over the top of it as well, over the top of the pyramids. Mind you, you've got to be really, really very, very, very precise with the light. And so like I said, it's pretty amazing. I've just changed to another rock now. I'll insert a picture for you. It is only a very little rock, as you can see right alongside the lighter. A little tiny black rock. And I haven't actually got the side light on at the moment. All you're seeing there is with the microscope light turned down, and I do recommend that all the time. When you find something you think you may be seeing something, I do that first. Now I've just moved just a little bit further over on that rock and refocused on this part here. I just wanted to make note that this part here isn't rock from there up. It's that is the edge of the rock, and I've sort of focused on the very curve of the edge of that rock. So first thing we'll do is turn this down, and I want you to just keep your eye on where we've got a lot of colour in there. Even though it's a black rock, we see quite a bit of colour in it, don't we? So I'll just turn that down low first, see if you can see anything coming out. It looks like there's going to be a fair bit in here when I get the light on that properly. Like I said, you need to refocus when you do this, especially when you're on a curved rock. You notice the foreground is out of focus, as is the background. And this is why with it, like I said, you wouldn't even stand a chance of getting any of this at all with an expensive microscope. You get nothing. I know, I bought one and it was a waste of money. You buy a $30 USB microscope, which I have seen them advertised on phones, but I would expect that with a phone you're not going to get it very well, because reality, what happens when you use a phone, the lighting outside is where it's not so good. So, you know. And like I said, sometimes I'll think, oh, I can't see what it is I'm supposed to see. And then that might be closer there to what I'm supposed to be looking at. See, to me that looks like it might be, I've seen this before, like a comet thing coming in through a city, or, you know, a comet impact into a populated area at night time. That might be what we're seeing there. That's how it looks sometimes. You can see how you can get like a little black ball thing happening in the middle there. That could be what we're seeing. A comet impact through a city. Something of that nature, I think. That's what that looks like to me anyway. If I was going to suggest it was anything, that would be what it would be. Now I've just moved to another spot on that little black and white, or mostly black, skinny rock. And I've stopped at this point only because it's not too difficult to see that I'm probably going to get something here. I've only got the light on the microscope light there. Okay, and I've just turned it down. If I turned it up bright, you probably wouldn't see what you're going to see. Already I can see that it looks like there's something coming flying in here, and this already looks like a little bit of a township down here where you've got buildings and whatnot. I'm going to now turn the light off on the microscope, and we'll see whether what we get here. And immediately you can see it immediately brings things, as you would imagine, out that may be really quite amazing when it comes to what we're seeing. Now, one thing I wanted to say, actually I noticed that before, notice how you get these square things up on this corner here? I'll mess around with that a little bit. When you have situations where we're being told with the problems we've got with the planet, we're seeing in these things here, bombs and, well, it looks like it to me, some instances I'm seeing, what appears to be, nuclear weapons being used at some point. It would be pretty senseless, I would have thought, if they're coming to help us all. I mean, I know they're going to get, the information would be better shared, in my opinion, but I can see the ramifications of doing so. But when you've got things like this left for us, we've got problems. This is it, even with their help. And it's really quite amazing. Some of the scenery, I'm not kidding. Some of the visions I've had from moving this around and seeing things has been amazing, So I'm sort of just moving this around the rock so we can see, whether there's anything that sometimes you'll get it sort of, it'll pop up all of a sudden and just go bang, and you'll see something very, very quickly. Other times you'll have to, mess around a fair bit. I can see that there's something up there. I don't know what that is there. You see how there's a bit of square? I might just move this and just see what that is. Now I've zoomed in and made my focal point. What I perceive is going to be a wharf here going out into the ocean. I've left that light on, and the light you're looking at now is only the microscope light, and I've got it on pretty bright. Like I said, this is still the skinny black rock, and what I'm going to do now is adjust just the lighting. Right, so we'll go down lower in the light, and like I said, this is playing up a little bit, so I'll chop it out if I take too long. You can see what I mean. That's full brightness, and as I turn it down a bit, you might already get to see that it looks like city lights and a wharf. Okay, and you see that already starting to take effect now, where you've got the main highway of the city coming down the side of the coast and around the corner and up here, off up into the hills up here. This is all the ocean and the wharf going out here. This is the other side of the bay. Now I don't know if that's going to exhibit the same sort of thing when I turn the light off and use the external light, but we will see, because I expect there will be a position where I can get it really good as opposed to even just that. I wasn't wrong. Honestly, some days when I do this I get amazed. I'm more amazed each time I do it. When you learn how to go about reading them, or reading the marks on the rocks, so that you can get what it is they want you to see. It really is quite amazing. Now I'm just going to move around a little bit, because I suspect that that's probably going to be better as well. There's probably a spot where it's really, really good. But you can get places where you can get, that's what I was saying with the fibre optic inserts. that wharf and the way it lights up to me is like that. There's parts where, and people would say, oh look, it's just a crystal, Brian, but I'm telling you, there's some technologies on these rocks here that are really, really, really quite profound. I've still got that, see how you got those little square window things down in the foreshore there? Maybe they're under the water there. That's what's going down there. Maybe they're under the water, shining things around. It sort of looks like what it's supposed to look like. Or it's a base or something underneath the ocean. I don't know, it's weird. I'll get my stick and I'll point it out to you, sorry. This is the thing I'm talking about here. It's got like, comes up with little squares, window sort of things there. That might be where I need to have this to get it more correct as well. Like a guy's face there, doesn't it? The end of that white line. That looks like a coastline there. The roads down this bottom part here as well. This looks like there's some roads and sort of a coast area just in this bottom corner there as well. There, that's not a bad position. Bad, is it? Right? An amazing thing. Absolutely amazing. Is it not? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. We now come to the fourth rock, and I'll insert a picture here for you. as you can see, all four rocks that we've had at this point have been pretty normal run-of-the-mill rocks. They're not, fancy rocks like these couple that I'll insert here, like the sandshoe rock, or the pyramid rock, or the tin tam rock. They are a little special. But the ones we've just looked at, we'll go through them all again now. This is the first rock we looked at, which was the orange smooth rock. The second one was a little 1.5 inch long rock with grey and white stripes on it. The third rock, a little tiny black one, even smaller than the grey and white stripe. And we're now on the fourth, which is this quartz rock. Quartz is an unbelievable thing. When you use this method to obtain imagery of the quartz rock, some of the things you can get are amazing. They seem to use quartz in a way to be able to, if I was going to say, like I am qualified in respect, I'm a computer engineer by trade, but I actually did my study initially was in audio-visual equipment and microfiche manufacture and all sorts of things like that, cameras and photography, things of that nature before I went into computers. So my basis was that, and I've always had an interest in photography. I didn't realise I was going to be finding the history of my planet at microscopic level on the rock and be putting videos on YouTube about it. Nonetheless, life is full of surprises. I'm going to say the volume down. I'll turn the light down again for a bit. I know the volume is a little bit dodgy. I'll fix it up when I edit. I know how to do that now. Now I've just chosen that spot only because it seemed to have a lot of parts of interest. I haven't even moved the light on this yet, so you're seeing what I'm seeing for the first time. I'm just moving it up slowly from the front and pointing it directly at the rock. And what I tend to do is I'll just gradually lift back and lift up. You don't sort of go flashing all over the place at 100 miles an hour because you can miss things, Obviously, if I'm doing it with you, I tend to edit. So I'll be quiet and then I'll add the music later. So I will be quiet for a bit and we'll just see what this one does for us. This is still a quartz rock. I will say at this point, I did make a video some months back and put it up called The Light, which I apologise to all the geologists in the world. But I've since spoken to, I've made contact and spoken to anybody about all of this. And I'll be honest with you, quite frankly, I'm seeing more intelligence on a rock than I am, the entire population of people that are professed to be trained in geology. I have not heard a beep from anybody. It's a bit hard to deny what we are seeing on these rocks when we go from rock to rock to rock, and see the same sort of things. You know, it's an amazing situation to see, you know, the same sort of story with being told time and time again by just the manipulation of light and what it can do. It's really quite amazing. It is logical. I'll just show you something here, even with this one. I'm going to move this just a little bit forward. You can see that you've got these, there's red marks at the front here, 2 red marks, and that's what makes you stop at a place like this, you know. And then when you start moving it around, you start to see what it is it wants you to see. And some of the visions are spectacular. I've said that I believe that you see places on the planet at certain times, like, you know, specific places. They're not. It's not coincidence. You're shining the light. I've often wondered whether the visions that you see are past, you know, present. I've seen some that I'm certain reflect our situation with a number of comments, you know, out the front of the, you know. I'm just trying to move around there a little bit. I think there's some rather interesting things coming up there. Yeah, so you wonder whether my apology was justified. I'm amazed. I'm amazed by what I see. Like I say, more intelligence just in the manufacture of one rock. Just one rock, and what it has on it in respect the way it's manufactured, the way the technologies used to do it are amazing. I'm not kidding, they are absolutely beyond explanation. You know, it's all laser cut, laser made. It's how they do it, so many, you know, they just pump them out of a machine. Obviously, they, as I suspect, build planets, and they protect ours. They rotate it around the sun. One thing I did want to mention, and it is to do with planetary motion, albeit it's anybody's actually listening. I did watch something where they were talking. This guy had a concept that he perceived the situation with Mars and the perception that it has flowing water on it from the valleys in it, not necessarily ones that are being created by water flow, because he says in a lot of instances there's no source to the water that's created the valley. And being that there is no, you know, source to the valleys that are there, that he suggested they were being created by electrical discharge. Now, we discussed in my last video in respect to planetary motion that what in actual fact had happened was that the Earth required another move in again. That it needed an assist to come back in from the 40 million miles further out that Earth was rotating on beyond Mars, and that it needed help in. I would suggest that what they're actually doing there is quite doing that deliberately. They might be actually putting our planet in a very, very close trajectory on the way back from being out there, okay, and go very close to Mars, quite deliberately so, to invoke an electrical discharge. One probably to assist in the melting of ice off the Earth's surface at that point in time. I mean, this is 48,000 years, you know, between each of these particular events. So, you know, that's what they say. I appreciate what I've been left here, and it's just a pity that we just seem to have people that think it's either it doesn't exist or they want to be quiet about the fact it does, or really we've got no choice in the matter. We need their help, and would appear to me to be the message says that without the help we pass away in billions. We've seen images just on these rocks alone of catastrophe. Absolutely massive tidal waves. What else do we see? We see, basically devastation. So this is what goes down, and they're telling us in their own story here what we're looking at. Here's a very, very direct message left here. But what they do, they steer comets at our planet, and like I said, there would appear to be a very, very, very good reason for doing so. And that's happened on every rock that we've done today. It's been quite an amazing thing. I hope you appreciate the time. It's actually, the sun is just starting to rise, and I've done this I think I got up about 1 o'clock or maybe earlier, and thought, well, I might actually do a video like that because I seem to be getting just better results in the quality of the imagery, and certainly it's worth doing, I think. Thanks very much. This is Brian Whitten and NTR. Have a nice day. Bye.